Hello, everyone. I'm Denton Davidson, senior editor for Gold Derby, here with Regina Hall, who stars in the Hulu drama Nine Perfect Strangers. She also hosted the 94th Academy Awards this year. Regina, I wanted to just first ask you, what did you love most about playing Carmel Schneider in Nine Perfect Strangers?
Oh gosh, I loved every bit of her, the good and the bad. I think I just like playing, that I like not knowing whatever Carmel was going to do. I think she was kind of she was a fun ride who I had, my heart went out to.
And David E. Kelley created and wrote this series. You worked with him a long time ago on Ally McBeal. Did
Yes.
he reach out to you for this role, or did it just all come together in that way?
It just all came together. He could have thought of me behind the scenes. I like to think that he was over there saying it has to be Regina, but no, just the team. They reached out and we reached out, and it just kind of all came together. So it was great.
What were your initial thoughts when you read that script? And did you get the whole script? Did you know the ending like right away?
Oh no.
Okay.
I actually, when I signed on, I think I had read the first 2 or 3.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is great. I can figure out something to do with her. I mean, I loved the company. I love David Kelley, obviously, and the director, Jonathan Levine, and of course, Nicole Kidman, Melissa McCarthy. So it was, the cast already was like, I want to do it. But when I was attached, I kind of had, but once I was doing it, and then you start getting all the episodes, I was like, no. Every time, by the time we got to 7, I was like, oh, I was surprised. And then of course that affects how you're going to approach a character once
Yeah.
those kinds of things. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this differently.
And it's a showy role. I mean, she goes through emotions at extreme levels. So is that fun for you to play a character who goes from funny to psychotic? I mean, there's so many emotions that she's tapping into.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're all like a hint away from the extreme of both somewhere in life, or in a moment in life, or at times. But it is a lot of fun to kind of tap into what. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's also you got to tap into what would cause it, and the feelings that could cause someone to become, so hurt that they become that enraged. But yeah, I mean, I had so much fun. And then trying to make sure that none of it just came out of nowhere, that you could see, how in retrospect you look at someone and you're like, I knew something was a little, but you also want people to care about her.
Yeah.
And what happened.
And you're one of the great comedic actresses that we have. I'm not sure you're recognized enough on a grand scale, but it's really true. And I'm curious if you approach roles in projects like Girls Trip or even Scary Movie or Black Monday, is that different for you than a dramatic role, or does it all come from the same place when you're preparing for that as an actor?
I think it comes from the same place, but how maybe I would interpret the materials different. Because if it's a comedy, you can see I mean, both drama and comedy, you create a character, but then I don't know. So when you read the script, you can just see like, oh, that's fun. Oh, I could do that. Oh, that'd be funny. Oh, and especially from that character's point of view. So you approach the character, but I guess how probably I would interpret this, the script is different. The beats are different.
And what did you enjoy most about just working with that ensemble? You had so many great character actors, and then you have, as you mentioned, Nicole and Melissa.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like just being on set?
Honestly, what you just said, so many great character actors. Michael Shannon was also incredibly funny. Melissa McCarthy. I mean, honestly, it was great. It was like learning and playing all at the same time. I was always loving what everyone did. At every take, I'd be like, oh, that was so good. Just watching how other people develop their characters. I mean, it was a little scary because I didn't, from the first 2-3 episodes I read, I didn't realize that, so much of my arc is connected to Nicole Kidman's character, Masha. So that was a little intimidating because, you're like, oh my goodness, Nicole Kidman, who I've loved her work. And she's such a phenomenally talented actor. And then you're just like, and then you're like, wow, if I'm bad, that's gonna really show. Like, this is gonna be a terrible litmus test. But it was also really fun because everyone came to really do their work and also to really have fun. So there was no like part of it that where everyone wasn't invested.
What were those scenes like when everyone's just on psychedelic drugs? Like, did people break care? I mean, were people laughing or were people just, did you hold it together? How was it filming those scenes?
We held it together, but I did laugh in between takes. I mean, there were some things that everyone did where I would just, and there might be a couple where we broke, but I think, for the most part, but we did laugh a lot. Like it was a good time. You know what I mean? And then, especially when we were all together, like the goat, because you get that many people together and we're just like, big kids, and so it was fun.
Is there improvisation from anyone during things like that in terms of like what they're saying?
Everyone improv, and everyone was, especially in those fun scenes, Michael Shannon improvs a lot. He's really good. It's but everyone, it was just, so every day you didn't know what to expect, which was also really great, and then every time Nicole does it, she has a different take, so it makes you have a different response, because she's always doing something so original and new, and like you're like, oh, okay, oh, all right, that's what's happening now. So it's great.
Is it fun to be the bad one? I mean, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it, but you should have by now. But I'm going to ask questions about the end because, we find out that she shot Masha. So were you excited to be sort of, the bad one? I mean, and go off on Nicole Kidman. I mean, is that stuff? I mean, that has to be a little fun for you.
Yeah, and first of all, I was horrified that she went that far. I was like, no, Carmel, no, what happened? And Nicole, no, I was like, there was the scene where she runs and attacks her.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole's like, you should choke me harder, honey. And I'm like, oh God, no. It is fun. There's no doubt that it's not fun. But it's such a fine line between, I really did still want people to have compassion and root for Carmel. So the whole time I'm like, all right, you're going to find out that she stabs her husband with a fork. Yeah. You're going to also, she's going to attack someone at the place. And then you're going to literally see her attack Masha and like beat her up. And then you're going to find out that she shot her. And I was like, and I'm like, I want people to root for Carmel. But I did because, she's not solely a villain. She's also a victim. So it's like I saw her as both, the not so bad person that did a really bad thing.
Yeah. I think you definitely succeeded with that because we were rooting for Carmel. You also hosted the Oscars, and that's eligible for a variety series at the Emmys. And you guys just did an incredible job. I'm curious.
We should win that just because that's going to be the most memorable in history. I mean, I don't know what else you got. Right? That's just a given. No, I had so much fun with the ladies. They were great. It was. I did not know Amy before then, and I had a great time just creating with both of them.
Who decided to put you three together? Because that was a really interesting choice.
Yeah, I think probably the producers, put everything together. I do remember when they were coming out with like people they expected. And I was like, wow, none of us have made any of the expectation lists. Every time they'd come out, I was like, ooh, I hope they're not going to be like, wait a minute, you know, because you do look to see like if there's going to be like, I was like, isn't it amazing? Our names didn't make one, like not one of our names made a list, not even like a throwaway. But we had a ball, and it was necessary. It was like an interesting pairing, but really complimentary. Not pairing, but whatever you call throuple, but quite complimentary.
Yeah, the chemistry was great. It was super funny. I mean, there's been so many Oscars in recent history where the skits were not funny. And I think that's why they maybe went to no hosts for a while. So you guys coming back, you brought the funny back. So I'm curious, you know, how did you feel about the experience overall when it was all said and done? I mean, would you do it again? Would you go back?
Yeah, we really did have a lot of fun. You know, it's a weird thing because you're like, I hope this works, you know, and you practice, and, you know, there's always that little, you know, you're going to make jokes that are a little, and obviously I had my COVID set up, you know what I mean? You always want to go, you know, there's a line you want to still be able to do in comedy, you know, where it's like, it's right on the verge, right on the edge. And so for us, like, just to be able to do that, and watching that kind of night, preparing for it and watching it come together, you know, it's a big deal, especially because, and especially for me, I didn't ever think I would do it because I'm not a stand-up. So, you know, so many people who've done it are mostly stand-ups, or, you know,
Hosts.
or hosts,
Yeah.
or talk show hosts, yeah, who usually have a history of stand-up, you know. Except I know they had James Franco and Anne Hathaway, two big actors. But so it wasn't something that I necessarily was like, oh, that's going to be in my trajectory. So it was a really nice, wonderful surprise, and like I had fun. It's a fun night.
What is that preparation like? I mean, how long does that take? Can you compare it to doing a TV show or a film?
Yeah.
Well,
the process of like kind of charting it out, how many acts they're going to be, because you're also fitting what you're going to do into an entire show, and you don't have any control over the rest of the show, just kind of what you're doing, and, you know, what time you have in those blocks. And I think for us, it was just like, the three of us have different styles of humor, right? So it's like, well, what's our opening, and what do we do where together what we say complements that opening, and the fact that we are three women. And I think in the skits and going back and forth, and, you know, that takes a while because you're also waiting for the structure of the show, and it shifts, and it's like, okay, well, now you only have 1 minute. Well, now you've got, you know, 3 minutes. Okay, we've got a space here. And then I think the biggest part is, even with all that preparation, obviously the show is live and anything can happen. And so you're also and did. And so you're also having the moment where things may go, things may not be able to go, because the show can change, and did. And so you are constantly adjusting, you know. You know, you have the intention of doing what you want to do, and then you're adjusting for, you know.
And I heard that was the first time you'd attended the Oscars. So I'm curious, do you remember the first big awards show? Because we're an awards website. Do you remember the first big awards show you went to, and were you starstruck, or did you have any specific memories from that night?
I feel like the first big award show that I went to, well, it's a taboo name now, but was the Golden Globes.
Okay.
And it was a big deal. I just remember the food was good, and I was, and they had alcohol, and it was for Ally McBeal. The show was nominated, and I remember it was me and Josh Hopkins at the table, and 24 had won. And the Ally McBeal table had two tables. They had a table, but we were kind of like at the overflow table in the back, Josh and I. And I was like, Josh, let's go on stage when the 24 people win. They won't, like, what are they going to do? Stop the speech? I was like, they can't remove us. It's live. And we didn't do it, but I regret that. We should have walked out. But, and like, yeah, I just remember, and then all the after parties thing, like everyone, you know what I mean? I mean, this is, you know, this is a while ago. This is when the Weinsteins were
Yeah.
still having, like, we were dying to get into that party, you know what I mean? The Weinstein Company party. So I think they might have still even been Miramax, like that's how far. Then we were invited because I had done Scary Movie. So it was still that time where I was like, and I hadn't seen like the room to room party. So it was a big deal just because there were so many. I don't remember that there was like one person, but because it was a mixture of film and television, I just remember I was like, everyone's here. Oh, look, you know, and that was fun. And I hadn't seen a carpet that big. It was a pretty big, huge carpet. And oh my gosh, and I didn't know, but one of our executives was there. And we were sitting in the back and I said, I'm such an ass. I was like, oh, these seats are really good. I was like, Josh, can you brush the stucco off my back from the walls? And the guy was like, well, these are actually pretty good. They're hard to come by. And I was like, oh yeah, I can tell. We're 2 doors from the bathroom. But I was just being like funny. I mean, I saw everything. I had a great seat, but I didn't have an understanding of like, I didn't understand. I didn't understand. And I didn't realize. But like, oh, he works at Fox. And I was like, oh, well, he probably thinks I'm a jerk. But it was a great night. Josh and I had a great night.
Well, Regina Hall, congratulations on your incredible performance in 9 Perfect Strangers and for successfully co-hosting and holding the Oscars together, keeping it fun. Our viewers can head over to goldderby.com, make your Emmy predictions, and check out more interviews with top contenders. Regina, thanks for the chat. It was fun.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.